episode of the 2022 to 2023 season. My name is Elise Dodge, and I'm the social media and photo editor of the Mason Press. Today I'm here with Nicole, Xamara, and Ashley, and they will introduce themselves to you now.
Hi guys, I'm Nicole.
Hi, I'm Xamara.
Hi guys, I'm Ashley.
Today we will be discussing climate change and the unusual weather that we've been recently having in San Diego. Nicole, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, so the last heat wave we had was pretty unenjoyable, I think, for all of us. My head currently is at what are we going to be experiencing in the future, because this heat wave is definitely not the last one. And, you know, with climate change getting worse and worse, I think we'll be experiencing a lot of that. So I've got some fears, but my first fear is the health of our plants and animals. If the temperatures keep changing like this, then, you know, our ecosystem could get messed up, and then the animals that are eating plants are going to die, and then we won't have anything else to eat. What do you guys think about that?
That's kind of scary. Yeah. Ashley, do you want to go?
Yeah, I just feel like it's a really scary thing because I've lived in San Diego my entire life, and I don't think I've ever experienced a summer like this one where it's been extremely hot and extremely moist. We usually have a pretty dry, like, climate, and we've had, like, a lot of moisture and humidity, I feel like, in the last year or so, which is, like, not super unusual, but definitely a little bit different compared to, like, most places. And I just feel like it's just getting worse and worse as the years are going on. Like, I'm not seeing an improvement. I feel like the only improvement I did see was something like during COVID when they were showing how clear the skies were from, like, all of the cars being off of the roads and everything, like, from people not driving. And that was just crazy to see how much, like, pollution the cars are causing. And it's just, I mean, the population in California itself just keeps growing and growing. So we have to get a control on, like, not just fossil fuels, but, like, how to, I guess, develop. I mean, we have to we have to keep going. And so we need to find a solution ASAP to keep going, because I don't think that if we keep going in the direction that we are right now, it's going to improve. It's just going to get worse.
Yeah, and that's really tough too, because, you know, we've got people coming up with quote-unquote solutions, but we're not really seeing any differences. Like, we've got electric cars, but no one really switched over to them, so we're still emitting gas into the air, you know, on a daily basis.
Yeah. And another thing around the weird weather from the past weekend was that we got a lot of rain out of nowhere, and it caused, in San Bernardino, really bad mudslides, which is extremely scary. Like, we could see that in the future too, as more mudslides.
Yeah, I was actually doing some research, and, you know, global warming and higher temps isn't just going to be about heat, because actually the higher temps do create an atmosphere that collects and unleashes more water. So by global warming, we're actually going to see a lot more storms and flash floods and, you know, natural disasters in that sense too.
And honestly, on that note, Nicole, I thought it was so crazy. Like I said, I've lived in San Diego my whole life, and I've never gotten a hurricane warning before. So that was, I was always like, we live in California. We don't get hurricanes. Like, that's not part of our climate. And now, like you said, it's bringing more moisture. And now, who knows? We may start being like a Louisiana, a Florida, a Georgia, and start getting these crazy hurricanes where we're going to have to start, like, hunkering down and, you know what I mean? Start rationing off some foods and whatnot. That's a little scary, because I feel like I almost wanted to stay in California to avoid those types of weather situations and, like, avoiding the Midwest because of tornadoes. And I feel like it's all just moving towards us now.
Yeah.
And with all this crazy weather, like rain, it's causing, like, all the trash in the streets to go straight to our ocean. More pollution.
I feel like there's been a lot of like sewage links and stuff that are, like, in South Bay or, like, in, like, Imperial Beach and in TJ. There's been a lot more like trash dumping, and, like, the waters are just getting dirtier as well from everything that's getting moved around.
Yeah, and that's the worst too, because I feel like the oceans are just impossible to clean. You know, once something goes into open waters, it's gone forever.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like that problem is just too big to control. And you see those, like, massive islands almost of just trash that are out in the waters.
Yes.
Or like those videos of the animals that have like nets caught on them and stuff, or like strings around their necks. It's just crazy.
Yeah, like when I was like going past the beach over the weekend that had the heat wave, and there was pollution signs everywhere.
Really?
In Ocean Beach. Yeah, and people were still swimming in the ocean because it was so hot. Like, you can't just sit on the beach when it's almost 100 degrees outside, which is sad because it's like really disgusting.
Do you remember what the signs were saying, like, about the pollution?
It said the beach was closed. It was only like the part where there's like the dogs beach, like where the dogs are allowed.
Yeah.
But then like not even like 100 feet over, regular Ocean Beach wasn't closed, which I thought was like weird because isn't it like all the same?
Yeah, it just meshes into the same water.
Yeah, it was just disgusting.
That's horrible though, because can you imagine if our temperatures keep rising and we're in 120-degree weather, but we can't get in the ocean because it's so polluted?
Yeah. At that point, like. And then we're also in a drought, so it's not like everyone can just go, it's not like everyone can just go get pools and put them in their backyard, because that's gonna take more water. As you know what I mean? Like, it's a really scary thing once you start thinking about it. And also, like, the lake levels that are decreasing at rapid rates, and all of those bodies that are now like coming to the surface from Lake Mead and stuff because they're so low.
Yes, and on the topic of pools too, I'm sure you guys all got the same notification to stop using power and energy and all of that too. Just, terrifying. If it's so hot outside, we can't turn our AC on. It doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah.
Right? Or like, I mean, those are the times that basically everyone is home. Like, you for sure are going to be home during that time, and that's a time that they don't want us to use energy. So it's like, okay, now are we going to be moving towards a world where everyone's going to be home during the day trying to use that energy, so at night they're out and not home?
Right. And, fortunately we didn't have a power outage due to all the people using their power in that week. But, in the future, if that isn't the case and we do get an actual power outage, some people could suffer heat strokes or, end up hospitalized because of medical conditions. So that's really scary too.
And I'm almost positive that happened in like the late 80s or 90s in LA. There was like a huge power outage, and like people were going crazy in the streets because heat makes people irritable and like just start doing more things. And that was like a really scary time because people were sleeping with their windows open and their doors open to get cool air, but that just escalated in more like higher crime rates and everything. So that's something that a lot of people don't really take into consideration either, is how all of that's going to affect our safety too and well-being, which is also pretty crazy.
Yeah. And the Governor Newsom was telling us not to charge electric cars.
Right, but they're telling everyone to buy electric cars. Isn't that a bit funny?
Yeah, because charging an electric car is like running 5 ACs at once.
Wow, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's why. So that's just kind of ironic that they're having all of us turn off ours. Is it maybe so that way they can charge? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's crazy. I think, doesn't Tesla offer some type of like incentive or like tax return based on if you get in one of their cars or something? I think they like pay you back for driving electric.
That would be cool. I haven't heard about that, but that would be awesome. So aside from all of these fears, my main fear when it comes to global warming and climate change is actually what's going to come out of the ice that's been frozen for, millions of years from the Ice Age or however long ago that was. I'm just imagining, like, the animals that were frozen alive. They make movies like, for example, the Disney movie Ice Age, where all the animals, came back to life because they weren't dead when they were frozen. They were just being preserved. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think that that's going to be kind of wild. I know they're already trying to, like, clone a mammoth to bring back, which I think is going to be really interesting, considering that the ice caps are literally melting and there's no environment for them like that anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know how far they're going to get with that, but I think one's already been found, too, that had, like, the fur on it still. Like, it was super well preserved. It was a baby.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, so I can only imagine how many more they're gonna find, what discoveries we're gonna find as far as like just learning more about how things were back then.
Yeah.
But also like, does that mean that like how long do polar bears have now, right? Like these other animals are getting extinct left and right. We see all of those videos of them like hanging onto this tiny little block of ice that they can. So that's just really scary. And it's like you said, it's a whole ecosystem. Everyone depends on each other. Humans and animals, like all of it just meshes into one. And once one starts going, I feel like it's just going to be a domino effect, and it's slowly but surely just going to get worse and worse.
Yeah, and unfortunately, starting with these heat waves, we're going to see some species go extinct. They can't handle the heat that's coming towards them, so. Feels like end times, you guys.
I know, we're going to start living in one of those post-apocalyptic worlds.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this concludes episode 35 of Something Newsy. We hope to have you back for episode 36. Please subscribe to the Mesa Press for weekly news updates, and we'll keep you in the loop with our latest news about everything San Diego Mesa College. Thank you for listening.